I wasn't always afraid of the sound of my own voice. My name is Priya, and by the time this story is over, you'll understand why I haven't spoken the word aloud in over a year. It all started with what I thought was the perfect escape. After a brutal breakup and a job that had drained every last ounce of my spirit, I booked a remote Airbnb for 2 weeks. It was a quaint, self-contained cottage, nestled deep within the Pine Barrens, promising digital detox and soul-soothing solitude. The photos showed a charming little building surrounded by dense, ancient-looking trees, with a cozy fireplace and a porch swing. It looked like a dream, but the first thing I noticed when I pulled up was the absolute suffocating silence. Not a bird, not a rustle of leaves, nothing. The second was the smell of thick, coppery scent, like old pennies and wet earth, that seemed to cling to the back of my throat. And the third, which I only registered as I was dragging my suitcase inside, was that all the windows were spotless, except for one single, grimy pane in the attic, which from the right angle looked like a single, watchful eye. The first few days were blissfully uneventful. I read, I journaled, I went for long, aimless walks. The silence, while oppressive at first, became a comfort. It was on the fourth night that things began to change. I was curled up by the fire with a book when I heard Ida faint, distant whisper. It was so soft I almost mistook it for the crackle of the flames. But then it came again, clearer this time. It was my name. Priya. My blood ran cold. It wasn't just someone saying my name. It was my voice, the exact cadence, the slight lisp I've had since childhood, the way I draw out the second syllable. It was me, calling my own name from somewhere outside in the impenetrable darkness. What's the most unsettling sound you've ever heard? That one noise that just doesn't belong, that freezes you in your tracks? For me, it was that. I spent the rest of the night huddled on the couch, every light in the cottage blazing, a kitchen knife gripped in my sweaty hand. I told myself it was the wind, a trick of the trees, my own loneliness and frayed nerves playing a cruel joke. But I knew it wasn't. The events escalated with a sickening logic. The next night the whisper came from just outside the front door. Priya, let me in. It was my voice, but it was pleading. Desperate, I called the Airbnb host, my own voice, trembling and unfamiliar. He chuckled, a dry, raspy sound. Oh, that's just the woods, dear. They get echoey out there. Probably a fox. They can sound strangely human sometimes. I wanted to believe him, but a fox doesn't sound exactly like you, down to the way you clear your throat after you speak. The following night I heard it in the house, first from the basement, a low murmur echoing my thoughts from earlier in the day. I should have bought more coffee. Then, from the hallway just outside my bedroom, a perfect imitation of my own sigh of frustration. It was learning. It was studying me. I reached a point of such sheer, exhausted terror that I decided to leave. I couldn't take it anymore. I threw my belongings into my suitcase, my hands shaking so badly I could barely zip it shut. The whispers had stopped. The house was silent again. For a glorious, heart-lifting hour as I prepared to flee, there was nothing. I felt a wave of relief so powerful it made me dizzy. It was over. It had been my imagination, a stress-induced psychological break. I was going to be okay. This moment of false safety was the most dangerous of all. As I walked towards the front door, suitcase in hand, the voice spoke from directly behind me, its breath chilling the nape of my neck. It didn't whisper this time. It spoke in a clear, calm, conversational tone. You can't leave, it said. We live here now. The climax was a blur of pure, animalistic fear. I spun around, screaming, but there was nothing there. Just empty space. I ran for the door, but the handle wouldn't turn. It was locked, though it had no lock. The lights flickered and died, plunging the cottage into an abyssal blackness. And then the whispers started again, not from one place, but from everywhere at once. They came from the walls, the floorboards, the ceiling. They were all my voice, a cacophony of my own thoughts, my memories, my secret fears, all spoken back to me in a horrifying chorus. I stumbled backwards, tripping over my own suitcase, and scrambled into the small pantry, pulling the door shut. I sat there in the dark, my hands clamped over my ears, but it was useless. The sound wasn't coming from outside. It was inside my head. I could feel it, a physical pressure, a presence trying to wear my life like a suit of clothes. In the thick silence of my mind, a final clear thought formed, one that I knew wasn't my own. There is no alone anymore. I am never alone.